My name is Robin, and I'm an addiction counselor with Thunder Bay Counseling.
And hi, my name is Julia. I'm the manager of the Addiction and Mental Health Program at Thunder Bay Counseling. September being Recovery Month, we thought it was important to have a conversation about some of the root causes that drive substance use, misuse, and addiction. And you being one of the addiction counselors on the team, I was hoping you can tell us a little bit about what you see as impacting people in their lives that result in addiction.
I think a lot of people kind of take a look at substance use and addiction as problems in and of themselves. And I think that they do impact people. But quite often, you can take another lens with that and take a look at substance use and addiction as a symptom of some of their underlying problems. And some of these are the bigger problems that we face as a society. So quite often, substances are used to treat pain. Right, and we see that a lot in when we're talking about actual physical symptoms of pain and injury, and using substances to help us to cope through that. And I think sometimes we don't recognize that substances are also used to treat the pain, the emotional pain or mental pain, social pain and spiritual pain that comes as a result of trauma. I think quite often both the most important thing that I do and the most challenging thing that I do is, being able to both hear and talk to the person as a whole and recognize, their strengths, their challenges, their experiences, but also recognize that they are not just their problems and they're not just their experiences and they're not just their trauma. And one of the things that I can do, because I'm lucky enough to come from a place of privilege, is that I can listen for some of those impacts of the bigger things and give them a chance to really talk about how those things have impacted them, allow them to vent on some of the challenges that they face with it, and kind of put it into a broader context. If I am invited, I can also help them to prepare to navigate some of our systems that are really hard to deal with, where people might not feel that they have a voice, they might not be heard, they might have had bad experiences in the past. And I'm thinking, like, these are the big ones, right? The social services, which is what I'm involved with, health, like going to the hospital, even the legal system, because it can be really scary. There's a lot of different forces, and a lot of people sometimes don't feel that they are heard.
Of course, it's going to be hard for people to get care and to move forward in their recovery journey at times. Yeah.
And I mean, being part of the system, it's also really important that we make our service as accessible as possible, as non-judgmental as possible, as accepting as possible, in recognizing that even by coming into our service, even interacting in this way, is an indication that people are trying to get better, that they're trying to make changes that are going to be more helpful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Absolutely. And that, the programs that we're involved in and Thunder Bay Counseling is involved in, we I think we're continuously trying to improve that and to lower barriers and work at getting it as right as we can, knowing that there's always going to be some flaws. I'm really interested in also the strength and resiliency that people bring into the recovery work that they do. People being able to survive and thrive, including people exploring the idea of recovery and people who are in recovery or who are moving through recovery. And the real celebration that I like to call into mind when we talk about all of these harmful forces, these huge, we're having this big conversation of these really big forces at play in all of our lives. Although the people who experience the negative end of that are, of course, people who are experiencing the oppression. But also for those people who, because of all of those forces at play, because of colonization, haven't been able to learn some of those traditional healing practices. The fact that folks like you have places, people, knowledge keepers, programs, treatment centers that you can recommend and treatment match people to if they want to explore that as being a component of their healing and their recovery. And I think that's a really important element when we talk about some of those huge oppressive forces that can be at play in people's lives, really trying to find those strengths that can be utilized as well.
Yeah. I mean, recognizing that I certainly don't have the knowledge and I certainly don't have the answers, but I might be able to point you in the direction of somebody that can.
And I think it's such an important conversation for all of us that work in this field to be having, and all of us really to be having in Thunder Bay.
I think that these conversations in general, conversations around reconciliation, conversations around the inherent biases and discrimination that are in our systems are really hard to have because people don't know if they're saying the right thing. And, you know, for me personally, I've just been trying to recognize where those places of privilege, such as, you know, being here, being able to further my education, being able to make money, to work in a career that I find really rewarding, have likely come to the cost of the Indigenous people that were here before. And I think recognizing that privilege, it becomes really important for me personally to make an acknowledgement that our government, my representatives have entered into treaties that they haven't always lived up to. And that because of that, I have had more opportunities than the people who traditionally lived here.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's something that, again, is sort of a lens that I think we try to carry in front of our vision, seeing things through that lens, and just remembering that we're all impacted by colonization, and some of us really benefit from it, and some of us really have suffered and continue to suffer from it, and have lost so much, and a way that we try to move forward to be able to acknowledge that is to say that we're here and we are doing our best to understand this. And it's one of our privileges that we haven't had to understand this before.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for having this really big but yet very brief conversation with me, where we just touched on a whole bunch of different things that may come into people's work in recovery, and that as people who are here to assist in people's recovery actually spend a lot of time thinking about, or hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, because I think these are things that need to be addressed if we want to do anything about them. And right now, there are a lot of conversations going on about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.